Life has a way of teaching lessons we never expected to learn. When we're younger, many of us believe that wisdom comes from age alone. We think that one day we'll simply wake up with all the answers. But life doesn't work that way. Wisdom is usually earned. It arrives through experience, through victories, through disappointments, through mistakes we wish we could take back, through seasons we never wanted to walk through, and sometimes through prayers that seem to go unanswered. If you've lived long enough, you've probably discovered that some of the greatest lessons in life don't come from classrooms. They come from ordinary moments. A conversation that changed your perspective, a door that unexpectedly closed, a relationship that ended, a challenge you never asked for, a season where everything seemed uncertain. At the time, those moments may have felt confusing, painful, even unfair. But years later, many people look back and realize something remarkable. What felt like an obstacle was actually a lesson. What felt like a delay was teaching patience. What felt like a loss was creating space for something better. And what felt like silence was often a season of growth. The Bible is filled with people who learned this truth. People who walked through uncertainty. People who experienced setbacks. People who waited. People who struggled. Yet through those experiences, God shaped them into who they needed to become. And perhaps He is doing the same thing in our lives today. Maybe there is a lesson hidden in the season you're currently facing. Maybe there is wisdom waiting to be discovered in the challenge you've been carrying. And maybe, just maybe, God is teaching something deeper than you realize right now. Today, we'll explore 8 powerful life lessons that God often teaches through ordinary life. Lessons about peace, character, relationships, gratitude, growth, purpose, and faith. Lessons that can change the way we see our lives, our struggles, and even our future. So wherever you are today, whether you're thriving, struggling, waiting, or searching, I invite you to spend these next few moments reflecting with me, because sometimes the simplest lessons become the most important ones. One of the most liberating lessons many people learn is this: not every battle needs to be fought. When we're younger, we often feel the need to defend ourselves constantly, to explain ourselves, to prove our point, to win every disagreement, to make sure everyone understands our side of the story. And while there are certainly times when truth matters and difficult conversations are necessary, life eventually teaches something deeper. It teaches that being right and having peace are not always the same thing. Many arguments begin with the hope of creating understanding, but they often end by creating distance. Many conflicts start because people want to be heard, yet they end with nobody truly listening. As we grow older, we begin to notice something. The people with the most peace are rarely the people arguing with everyone. They are often the people who have learned discernment. They know when to speak, and they know when silence is the wiser response. The Bible says that a gentle answer turns away wrath. That simple truth contains profound wisdom, because gentleness is not weakness. Self-control is not weakness. Walking away from unnecessary conflict is not weakness. In fact, it often requires tremendous strength. Anyone can react. Anyone can become angry. Anyone can say something hurtful in the heat of the moment. But it takes maturity to pause, to breathe, to consider the consequences of our words, and to choose peace when possible. Many people spend years carrying the emotional weight of conflicts that no longer matter. Arguments from years ago, offenses that should have been released, grudges that continue draining their energy. Yet holding on to anger rarely hurts the other person as much as it hurts us. It steals our peace, It occupies our thoughts. It consumes emotional energy that could be invested elsewhere. Eventually, many people discover that peace is one of life's most valuable treasures, and protecting that peace becomes more important than winning every argument. Because some victories cost too much, and some battles are simply not worth fighting. True wisdom is not knowing how to win every conflict. True wisdom is knowing which conflicts deserve your attention in the first place. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern life is the belief that appearance matters more than character. We live in a world that often rewards what is visible: the right image, the right presentation, the right impression. And while there is nothing wrong with presenting ourselves well, there is a danger in spending so much time building an image that we neglect the person behind it. Character is what remains when nobody is watching. It is the decision to do what is right, even when it would be easier not to. It is honesty when dishonesty would be profitable. Kindness when kindness is inconvenient. Integrity when compromise seems tempting. The Bible reminds us that people often look at outward appearances, but God looks at the heart. And that truth changes everything, because it means God is paying attention to the parts of us that the world may never see: the motives, the intentions, the private choices, the hidden struggles, the unseen acts of faithfulness. Many people spend years trying to impress others, only to discover later that respect earned through character lasts far longer than attention gained through appearance. Character is built slowly. It is formed through daily choices, through consistency, through humility, through perseverance. And although it may not always be celebrated, it becomes the foundation that supports every other area of life. A beautiful building is only as strong as the foundation beneath it, and a successful life is only as strong as the character that supports it. Perhaps one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves is not, "What do people think about me?" but rather, "Who am I becoming?" Because the answer to that question shapes the rest of our lives. There is an interesting truth about life. Two people can stand in the exact same situation and experience it completely differently. One focuses on what is missing. The other focuses on what remains. One sees lack. The other sees blessings. One sees problems. The other sees opportunities. And often, the difference is gratitude. Gratitude does not mean pretending life is perfect. It does not mean ignoring difficulties. It simply means refusing to let difficulties become the entire story. Every person faces challenges. Every person experiences disappointment. Every person encounters seasons that feel unfair. But gratitude teaches us to notice what still exists in the middle of those struggles: the roof over our heads, the people who love us, the lessons we've learned, the strength we've gained, the opportunities still in front of us. The Bible repeatedly encourages thankfulness because gratitude transforms perspective, and perspective often determines experience. When we constantly focus on what we lack, life feels empty. But when we appreciate what we have, abundance begins to appear where we once saw scarcity. Gratitude doesn't always change our circumstances immediately, but it often changes us. And sometimes that's where transformation begins. One of life's most painful lessons is learning that some relationships are seasonal. Some people enter our lives for a reason, some for a season, and a few for a lifetime. Yet many of us spend years trying to hold on to people who are no longer meant to walk beside us. We fear endings, we fear change, we fear letting go. But growth often requires both. There are moments when God closes certain chapters, not because He wants to hurt us, but because He wants to prepare us for what comes next. Not every goodbye is punishment. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is redirection. And sometimes it is simply part of life's natural progression. A tree cannot keep every leaf forever. Seasons change, leaves fall, and yet the tree continues growing. The same can be true for us. Letting go is rarely easy, but clinging to what no longer belongs in our lives often prevents us from embracing what does. The people who are truly meant to be part of your journey will not require you to sacrifice your peace, your values, or your purpose. And while some departures may leave temporary pain, they can also create space for healing, growth, and new beginnings. Comparison is one of the most common traps people fall into, and it has become even easier in a world where we constantly see highlights from other people's lives. We see achievements, vacations, success stories, milestones, and without realizing it, we begin measuring our lives against theirs. But comparison creates a dangerous illusion. It convinces us that everyone else is ahead. Everyone else is happier. Everyone else is succeeding. Yet what we often see is only a small fraction of reality. Every person carries struggles. Every person fights battles that others cannot see. Every person experiences uncertainty. When we compare ourselves to others, we stop appreciating our own journey. We overlook our own progress. We ignore our own blessings, and we forget that God has given each person a unique path. The Bible speaks about running our race, not someone else's. Our race, our journey, our calling, our growth. Peace returns when we stop asking why our life doesn't look like someone else's and start appreciating the purpose within our own story. Because the goal was never to become someone else. The goal is to become the person God created you to be. Many people spend their lives waiting for a breakthrough, a big opportunity, a major change, a dramatic moment that transforms everything. But life often works differently. Most success is built through small decisions, repeated consistently over time. One healthy habit, one act of kindness, one prayer, one disciplined choice, one day at a time. The truth is that most people underestimate the power of consistency because the results are rarely immediate. A single workout may not change your body. A single prayer may not change your circumstances. A single act of kindness may not change the world, but repeated consistently, those actions become powerful. The Bible frequently emphasizes faithfulness in small things, because small things eventually become big things, brick by brick, step by step, choice by choice. A meaningful life is rarely built through one extraordinary day. It is built through thousands of ordinary days lived with purpose. One of the greatest sources of anxiety is the desire to control things that were never ours to control. We try to control outcomes. We try to control people. We try to control the future. And when life refuses to cooperate with our plans, frustration follows. But peace often begins where control ends. There is a difference between responsibility and control. We are responsible for our actions, our attitudes, our choices, our effort. But many outcomes remain outside our hands, and learning to release those outcomes is one of life's most important lessons. Trust does not mean doing nothing. It means doing your part while accepting that some things belong to God. Faith is not certainty about every detail. Faith is confidence that God remains faithful even when details remain unclear. The more we try to carry everything, the heavier life becomes. But when we release what was never ours to carry, peace begins to grow. Perhaps the hardest lesson to remember during difficult seasons is this: God is still working. Even when progress feels invisible, even when answers seem delayed, even when circumstances remain confusing. Some of God's greatest work happens quietly. Wisdom develops quietly. Character develops quietly. Faith develops quietly. Strength develops quietly. The absence of visible progress does not mean the absence of growth. Many things in life develop long before they become visible. And often, years later, we look back and realize that what felt like an ordinary season was actually preparing us for something greater. The Bible is filled with examples of people who experienced seasons of uncertainty, yet again and again, God remained faithful. And He remains faithful today. Not because life is always easy, not because every question receives an immediate answer, but because His presence does not depend on our circumstances. And that truth becomes an anchor during difficult seasons. If this message encouraged you today, please take a moment to like this video. Your support helps these messages reach people who may be quietly struggling and searching for hope. And if someone came to mind while listening, share this video with them. You never know when a simple message can arrive at exactly the right moment. And if you enjoy Bible wisdom, life lessons, personal growth, and encouraging reflections like this, be sure to subscribe and join our growing community. Each week, we explore practical wisdom, timeless truths, and faith-filled encouragement designed to help you navigate life with greater peace, purpose, and perspective. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of yourself. Be patient with your journey. Trust God's process. And remember, some of the greatest growth happens quietly. Some of the strongest faith develops slowly. And some of the most beautiful chapters of your story have not been written yet. Keep going. God is still working.